Hello, today is May 17th, 2016, and this is the CFTA New Business Partner Welcome Webinar. I'm Michelle Ellington, CFTA President, and I'd like to thank all of our 14 attendees joining us today. Please join me in welcoming ASSA ABLOY to CFTA membership. ASSA ABLOY is a manufacturer of door opening solutions related to doors, frames, hardware, and access control. Their solutions provide 3D modeling and information sharing into BIM models, which can be used on the design-build side, as well as with the management of critical assets and lifecycle analysis. Today's webinar is being recorded. Both the recording and slides will be made available via the CFTA YouTube page. The presentation is estimated to run about 45 minutes with the remaining time dedicated for Q&A. So feel free to send any questions using the questions dialog box, either during the presentation to add it to the queue or save it for the end. I want to extend a special thank you to today's presenters, Jeremy Saline and Andrew Soba. Jeremy and Andrew, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to present. My name is Andrew Soba. I'm the Director of BIM Technologies for ASSA ABLOY. I've been in the door hardware industry and the door industry since 1994, either as a supplier or a manufacturer. And since 2011, I've been in the software side, what you're going to see today, and working with Revit since Revit 2011. Jeremy?
Yes, thank you. My name is Jeremy Saline. I am the Director of Business Development for our university market associated with ASSA ABLOY. So to kick it off, I'm going to spend a few minutes just kind of touching on who ASSA ABLOY is from a 30,000-foot view, kind of walk you through how we're set up, the different types of brands, products, solutions we have available outside of our standard BIM discussion we're going to talk to today. So I'm going to run through that real quick, and then we're going to kick it over to Andrew to start delivering some of his content. So here we go. So our goal is, as a sales organization specific to the university market, our mission for our sales reps in the field is, as you guys know, at your each individual campus or college, university or college, you may have upwards of 8 to 9 different stakeholders involved in the decision-making process. So it's very important that we have a holistic understanding of your business to where we can make sure we're connecting the dots with all of the different products that we offer. And that kind of ties into what we consider our value proposition in this particular space. Essentially, we have the unique ability of providing the integrated value of a total door opening solution. So essentially what that means is we can link doors, frames, hardware, that's both mechanical and electromechanical, access control solutions, OEM integration, software integrations, our sustainability energy reduction solutions, our decorative design portfolio, and then obviously the BIM, which ultimately, for the end user can create efficiencies in their process. It can reduce the total cost of ownership and really impact a lot of the business drivers associated with a university or college. So the unique ability of tying all those together is really what separates us from our competition. This kind of gives you a quick snapshot of what we consider our unique ecosystem. I won't go through every single one of these, but you can see where BIM and Opening Studio, which we're going to refer to today, as well as our energy efficient solutions. We have spec writing capabilities across the country where we're set up with consultants, and we have over about 31 OEM software partner integrations. So what that means is if you're using a Linnell head-end or a Genetec or a Seaboard, etc., our IP-based access control products will directly integrate into there. So we have over 31 of those integrations to date. Our professional services line, we have specialty openings, decorative solutions, and our access control security continuum product portfolio. And that basically takes you from mechanical keys all the way up through your online, your Wi-Fi, your wireless solutions. And then obviously our last there is the product innovation piece. Speaking of product innovation, we've actually launched over the last 3 years more than 280 new products, and a lot of those new products, or I shouldn't say a lot, all of them are designed specifically with security and safety and convenience in mind. And what's a great story to tell when you look at ASSA ABLOY. A lot of people may consider us a lock manufacturer, but we're so much more than that. As you can see, in 2013, Forbes actually ranked us more innovative than Apple, which is a pretty cool story to tell, and we were obviously on that list as well in 2014. So it's a very, very unique offering, and something we're very proud of. So these are some of our brands. We've acquired a lot of companies over the years, and we've really kept the brand recognition constant. So that way people that are associated with our brands understand that those fall under the ASSA ABLOY umbrella. I won't go through all of them, but obviously the Sargents, the Corbin Russwins, the Persona. We've acquired Ameristar, which is a perimeter fencing company. So when you look at security on your campuses, we have the capability of providing perimeter security all the way actually through the door, through the entry areas, all the way down to the individual classrooms, which is a unique story to tell. So go ahead, Andrew. This is an important slide as well. This actually shows our manufacturing, American-made manufacturing locations. The red star is our headquarters in the Americas division, which is out in New Haven, Connecticut. But the yellow stars represent actual manufacturing locations of our quality-made products. This shows how ASSA ABLOY is set up. We are a global organization, so we're obviously a part of the Americas division. We have our Asia Pacific. We also own HID, so your card technology. That is a sister company of ours, and we work very closely, obviously, with them on new products and innovation. So it's definitely a nice tie-in. This is how we're set up locally as well. So, you know, as you're around the country, I know we have a lot of people probably scattered throughout the country. This is our local breakdown of our own territory support. So wherever you may fall on this chart, it's important to know that we have a local team there to support you. Even though we're a global organization, we have the local feel to us. And inside each of those territories, this is basically how we're set up as an organization to support our customers. Is we have a group of specialists, whether they're electromechanical, we have specific campus electronic access control managers. We have teams that just work on system integrators. We also have wood door specialists and metal door. Our end user sales reps, we're split up into healthcare, government, military, K-12, university, and national accounts. So those are all the vertical markets that we're focused in. We have a distributor team that, you know, works closely with a lot of the channel partners out there that would enable you guys to receive your products in the field. And then we have our architectural business development team as well that's in the field to help you guys, you know, develop your design standards and write specifications. So this is our changing world, right? I mean, a lot's come out of here over the last 3 to 5 years. You know, you're talking about BIM, which we'll get into. You talk about wireless, mobile keys, social media, sustainability, 3D printing. All of these things are changing, and they're coming at us very, very fast. So the question is ASSA ABLOY as a partner to you, are we on the right road to be able to handle all those things? In 2016 construction industry trends, this is their predictions on basically where the market is going. They had 10 specific topics. The next one here obviously was a nice segue into what we're gonna talk about. But number 4 on that list was essentially BIM. It's going to become a necessity, and owners' interest will grow. So what we're going to talk about is how does ASSA ABLOY play in that market with BIM from a doors, frames, hardware, and access control standpoint. So how can we as an organization help you become more efficient in the BIM process, you know, utilizing doors, frames, hardware, access control. So with that, thanks for the few minutes there to introduce ASSA ABLOY. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, but we're going to kick it over to Andrew here. So thank you.
Sure, thanks, Jeremy. ASSA ABLOY Opening Studio is a 7-year overnight success story. Many years ago, we started getting calls for Revit door families. We're a door manufacturer, and at the time we had to Google what that meant because we had no idea. As we looked into it, we noticed that there was some need there for the door families and the information, but also BIM was becoming a front subject. And so how do we get involved in BIM and be able to provide door families and the information that we have? We are, like I said, we are a manufacturer, so we've got a lot of collateral information and a lot of product number information and things like that. So Opening Studio is a suite of softwares. It's web-based. It's designed to create and visualize door openings. It works with Autodesk Revit. Currently, it works with 14 through 16, and we're releasing 17 plug-in very shortly. And then it interfaces with the distributor software so that we can provide as-built information back to Opening Studio from a distributor and also back to the model or an FM solution. It does produce complete opening door frame and hardware opening specifications. It also has built-in workflow project management tools. We'll talk about that. And then really it's designed to work for architects, spec writers, distributors, owners, and contractors, all of the parties that would be involved on a BIM project. To that end, we have 5 suites within the Opening Studio platform. Opening Designer is the architect version for creating and modifying openings in pre-design and design development. Openings Writer is an internal version that our team uses to write specifications for basis of design, doors, frames, and hardware. Scheduler is a supplier or distributor-based software. We also give this to independent spec writers so they can add information to Revit models and pre-populate schedules for architects and things like that. Openings Builder is for the contractor. This allows them to use the as-built information on site and coordinate directly with the distributor or an owner or an architect through this real-time web-based environment. And then obviously Openings Manager is for the facility manager, and allows them to use the openings either as a virtual design guide, which we'll talk about it when it comes to libraries, or for OEM. Think of it as a virtual OEM manual. So Opening Studio is a collaborative environment for BIM and integrated project delivery. It allows all the parties to get involved earlier in the process and not just with the design team. And it allows end users wanting BIM content to have that information for FM solutions or for virtual design guides, or even within the Opening Studio platform itself. And we'll talk about each of those in a minute when I get into the software. So these are all the phases that Opening Studio is designed for in the early phases, and then obviously being able to produce or provide that data to the bid, procure, build, and maintenance upgrade side of it. So it can be used for estimating, scheduling, and project management. This is great for budget analysis and product analysis prior to construction or during construction, and then obviously having as-built information for lifecycle maintenance, aftermarket support, and things like that. So taking the data from the creators, the architects, and the spec writers, and being able to pass that data on to the consumers, the contractors, owners, and facility managers, and Opening Studio is our platform for moving that data from the creators to the consumers for use later on, and taking all of those 2D documents that you're used to getting and providing real-time information back to your Revit model so that if you click on a door, you have access to that information. So for us, what is a deliverable? Today, this is what the deliverable is on most projects: Excel, Word, PDFs, documents that are passed off in a book of some kind. And then how can we change, how can Opening Studio change the industry and convey information in a new conventional process? What are future expectations? We do not expect that this is the future, pallets full of paper plans and paper books and all of the things that you're used to getting today for your building, your construction projects. It's going to be highly intelligent model information that can be then passed on to an FM solution or whatever you would like. Openings Manager, we talked a little bit about earlier. It's designed for building maintenance and upgrade, facility management. It's designed, it's created so you can create virtual design standards. I think all of us have or remember the paper design standards that frequently don't make it to a project or don't explain enough detail about access control openings and our green openings and things like that. Being able to provide that as basis of design to an architect who's working in Revit for planning, speccing, and building. Quickly, BIM project. This is going to show you how a door can have data. You can see products on doors. You can find out the data on the doors. And we'll see more of this when I get into the actual software. And then providing that as-built data back to the Revit model so that you can pull up the data within the model itself. So some of the problems that we've seen with communicating design standard, with facility management pieces, communicating design standards. I have a great example at Exxon where they do a lot of the same doors, access control doors over and over, and every time they do a project, they have to sit down and explain what the doors are, does it have request to exit, is it a motion sensor, is it in the lever, what kind of card reader does it have, what kind of front-end system does it have, how does it integrate? And they spend a lot of time doing this, and I'm sure that at a university level you do the same thing. So being able to provide virtual design guides to architects with all the information that you typically use. For those frequently used openings that are hard to describe, like EMEAC, green openings, HPD requirements, recycled content requirements, windstorm requirements if you're a windstorm area, aesthetic requirements, maybe you like something a little nicer and you like to have those in your project. Digital asset management or access to product data over time, the virtual maintenance manuals we talked about, the ability to virtually have cut sheets, installation instructions, wiring diagrams for those openings, templates, things that you need on site to maintain the openings and you need quick access to. And then, of course, interactive visualization of installed openings is pretty cool because you can locate openings quickly. I talked to universities, and one of the issues that they have when you manage so many buildings is first finding where that door is that you're having trouble with, and then what products are out there. Who do I need to send? Somebody who works on mechanical openings or somebody who works on access control openings, and how has that opening changed over time? So they typically go find the opening and plan somewhere, go out and find the original spec book to see what was on there. It takes time to do those things, and Opening Studio allows you to do that more quickly. Door info, and we talked about hardware. And then, of course, tracking and reporting, yearly inspections and product replacements, tracking those, finding out where those fire doors are within your building, locating them quickly within a model, or locating them, or egress doors for that matter. So Opening Studio is built to provide data back to Revit, and it says eventually to an FM solution. We don't currently send information directly to FM solutions. There's so many out there. We do send data to Revit that can be imported into the FM solution. And we'll talk about how we can also send data a little later. Here it is in Revit. Our building solutions team, much like he showed our DSS team, we have people all over the country. This is a much smaller, much more technologically savvy team. So they're high on the tech end. So if you have questions later on, we have people in just about every major market, or covering just about every major market for your use when you need someone. I also have Australia and England we've already rolled out. We're already starting to roll out globally. Probably not a big deal to you unless you're a global company. All right, let's get out of here and let's get into some software. Up on my screen, I've got Opening Studio. Let's see if I can see this. There it is. This is a door library, a door family library. Again, this would be frequently used openings that you use over and over on construction projects or internal construction projects or upgrade projects that are difficult to describe, or you find yourself describing them over and over on every project. EMEAC access control always stands out because every time you do a project with a new supplier or a new contractor, you have to explain those same openings again. Green, LEED, HPD, EPD projects where you have some kind of health declaration or environmental project declaration. Windstorm openings, both tornado and hurricane come to mind. And then again, we mentioned aesthetic openings with hardware where you're doing something a little more decorative. Maybe you've got some some dorms or some campus buildings that have a little more decorative hardware. You can keep libraries for all of these things and provide these library doors to architects who can then physically use them in their Revit model, because there will be RFA files or Revit files. We can do these. I'll scroll through a few of them here. I've got them. You can do them as doors only if you just want to show doors. In the case of where you have windstorm doors or custom doors, they can be all glass. You can do overhead doors and things like that. Metal doors, doors with light kits, custom sizes. You can also do them with hardware, and this is where you start getting into the doors that have actual hardware on them. I've got some auto operator doors. This would be an auto operator door. This is an eco door, so it's got an economic access control lock on it. When I start getting into some more of the doors with card readers on them, you can actually see the card readers on the doors. You have access to the data for that card reader. You also have access to cut sheets if you quickly want to be able to send a cut sheet to a vendor or to an architect to say, this is what I'm using on these projects. You can quickly grab that product right off of the Opening Studio site. It also allows you to have access to pricing for budgeting and things like that. You can see the total cost of all these openings. For all of the openings I have, 29 marks, is $107,000. You can run reports off of this if you want to do hardware estimate reports on all hardware sets. You can see what a set would cost you if you used it. This is all list price, so it's not going to be exactly what you're going to pay, but it'll give you a good idea on budgeting and figuring out about how much it's going to cost if I add a card reader to this opening or add this kind of opening there. All of these doors then can be sent to Revit with the information that's provided with them. I'm just going through some more of them so you can see kind of the openings that are available. I'm going to pull up Revit now. In Revit, we have a plugin, and in there we've got a library. So your library button would allow you to bring up the libraries for the project, and then you could produce those library doors back to Revit, or the architect could if you've given them access to those doors. So they can pull up that same library that you have, pull up that door with that hardware on it, and export that directly to Revit to place in a wall. So very handy again for openings that you have to do over and over. If you have internal architects on staff, they may have access to the architectural version of Opening Studio. They may build all their own door families. And with our new Elevation Studio software, they have the ability to build an infinite amount of doors from their library, whatever, if that's what they want to do, and produce those to Revit with all of the parameters on them. Okay. Real-time coordination. So if you're working on a project, I'm going to go in here to an actual project or a sample project. If you're working with an architect or a contractor on a project, you can do real-time coordination with them. What that requires is for them to do an analyze of the model. The analyze is a snapshot of a Revit model as it exists that moment in time. It'll bring in all the walls, ceilings, floors, doors, room names, things like that into the Opening Studio software, where they can be visual, where you can turn on a visualizer and see where those doors are. So I can pull up a 3D view, for example. I can go click on a door in the schedule. It's going to take me to that door in the project so I can see where it is. I can click on a door in the 3D view. Get to it. And it would take me to a door in the project. You can see what the door looks like. You can see the door with the hardware on it. If you go to the hardware tab, it has that same information. Where this comes in handy is access control review or sensitive area review. So if you're working on a project and you know that this door here should have a card reader on it, and you're maybe not seeing one, you can go in as the owner and create an RFI. Well, that was interesting. I just went blue. Let's try that again. You can go in as the owner and create an RFI. this door should have a card reader, and create that as a new. So when the contractor or the supplier goes into the project, they can see there's a note on this door. If they click on it, it's going to bring up that dialog box. It's going to tell you who put it in, what date and time it was entered. So this is a great way to track if you've told them to do something or asked them to do something, whether it should be done or not. They can reply to you as well and say it's already been completed or whatever. When it's closed, they'll hit the acknowledge button, and that'll become a green check, which automatically lets everyone in the team know that that's been addressed. So in this case, they've added that card reader, and it's been taken care of. If they've made a change to the project, then there's going to be, and you can see here, there's some yellow highlights in this. If a change gets made to the project, we keep track of that change. So you can see here where it originally had no hardware set, and that I added a hardware set yesterday at 12:02 p.m. Or over here where I changed the door from a C to a C1. There's built-in change management within the software, which allows the contractor and you as the owner to see what changes are being made in the project as the project goes through the construction phase or even the design phase if you're that early in a project. Obviously, we've still got access to cut sheets, and in this case, we know that the total cost of doors, frames, and hardware for our little project here is $119,000. That's list price again, but it can give us some opportunity to make some changes. When we add that card reader, obviously our price is going to go up, and we know that because we know kind of what it's going to cost us. All of this information can then be exported to Revit. So this is working in this environment. It can be exported to Revit to be used within a Revit model. I'll quickly change to another model here. Let's go here. So if I'm in the same project I was in before, this is just an updated model where I've sent the data from Opening Studio. I've left the doors in place. Certainly we could replace the doors, but in this case I've left the doors that were in the model in place. But if I scroll down, you'll see that there's data that's been added from Opening Studio, including that this is an aluminum clear opening and all of the hardware that was included on that project or on that door. I've also included notes about whether it's access control door, an egress door, an auto operator door. There's also a fire rating column that tells me this is a 20-minute door or whatever it is, 60-minute, 90-minute. It's great to flag those, so if you want to send that data to your FM solution so you can figure, you know who to send to an opening. If it's an access control opening, you may send a different kind of person out there, a different technical person out there to work on the opening. Also with an Opening Studio, you can do the same thing. You can see here the note columns, so I can go ahead and filter by that access control, and I can see all the doors in this project that have access control on them. I'm going to make some of this a little smaller so you can see a little better. So now I can go through these openings and I can quickly see which doors have access control on the project. As I jump around, there's the IDF room, here's the president's office, here's the corridor door, here's that second floor corridor door, and you see how it jumped up a level when I went to that one. You can do the same thing in a floor plan view. So if I can see, I want to see that this is in the floor plan view, I can do the same thing. And then of course, if they're loaded in PDFs, we could do the same thing within those with an integrated PDF editor. Okay. We'll go back to the 3D view. So maybe we're looking for openings that are maybe not access control. We can clear that filter. If we want to see the fire rated openings, we can go ahead and add a filter for fire rating. Somehow I got it. Let's see, zoom extents. Somehow I got below this. Let's scroll up. So there's a fire rated opening, and we can just go through those. If it's time to review our fire rated openings, we can do that right here, and it takes us door to door and shows us where they are. So a quick way to do it. Opening Studio is designed to do multiple filters. So if I want to see access control openings that are also auto operator openings. I can do that, and it just gives me those openings. So a really fast way to find the doors you're looking for in a project. Somebody can give you a number of a door, you can quickly go and click on that door and find it within the project, figure out who to send out there, and get them on their way. Again, in this case, it's going to include the installed hardware, cut sheets, it could include templates, wiring diagrams, HPD, EPD information, installation instructions. Maybe you wanted recycle content in there. Really anything can be added by a supplier by going into the attachments and creating attachments on there. The hardware cut sheets are already included automatically, but anything else can be added if they want to add some more information to it. As we discussed, that information can then be sent back to Revit. This information then could be imported. I'll move this over so everybody can get a good look at it here. All the information that comes in this case, it's saying it's a SU series frame, and it's cold rolled steel 3-piece, 16 gauge, fully welded and painted. So if you needed to replace something, you could. If you have a failing lock, you can go down and find out what that lock was. This happens to be an office lock, and there's your product number for the office lock. Again, back in Opening Studio, you would have access to any of the information that was added to the project on that. And of course, this all comes back into Revit through this Export to Revit button, which allows them to send back whatever they want. See if this works. Everything is inside of Opening Studio is a wizard, includes wizards. So when you're doing the major processes, there's a wizard involved instead of making you have to remember everything. So what you're seeing here is the export wizard. This just tells you that we have to have ownership of the doors in Revit. It's automatically going to select yellow check. That's going to be text-only parameters. So in this case, we wouldn't be replacing models, door models within the Revit model. But you do have the option if you wanted to go ahead and replace those if you would rather use our models. And you can go ahead and change the opening selections by clicking here. Clicking Continue allows you to go in and select the parameters, and this is a great place to go in and just pick the parameters that you want. Maybe you only need those note columns and the hardware set and some of the hardware. You can uncheck some of this other stuff so that the model that you've created or the model that you've received isn't so heavy. And you can keep the rest of the data right here in Opening Studio and let you do it. Clicking Continue lets you go ahead and click the Export to Revit button. And in the interest of time, I won't go ahead and do that. It takes a few minutes to go back. Other options you have within reports, you have access to a door schedule report. This would let you create, let you create a schedule, an Excel schedule for all of the products in the door schedule down here. So if you want to use that as a starting point to do some importing to an FM solution, you could do that as well if you didn't want to go through Revit. Our plan is that sometime in the near future we have an IFC export, which would allow us to touch more softwares, not just FM solutions, but some of the other contractor solution softwares like BIM 360 and Navisworks and things like that that they use in the field. Today we can already work with Assemble and several others through the Revit integration. Also available to you are the reports for the project. In here you can run door estimates, frame estimates, hardware estimates. You have access to all of the attachments for the project in one place. So if you wanted to get a book of all the cut sheets or all the installation instructions or whatever is attached to the project, you could do that. You got a product costing report, so you could run those kinds of things. We talked earlier about RFIs and coordination with the architect or contractor through the RFI process. You could go ahead and download those RFIs to the your files or whatever you have on your computer. You could also, under user files, we could load in whatever other information we want to add. So there's a lot of information available here within the software that you have the ability to extract and to use right there on site. Back in libraries, if you've got architects that you want to work with, adding them to these libraries is fairly easy. In the details screen, we've added the ability. We've added the ability to give them access to these things so they can download these. I'm in the wrong project. Let's do this, details. We've given them access to go ahead and go into the project and download the openings, but not make changes to them. So that would allow us to give it to them without causing any issues or having them change your libraries and things like that. Lastly, I'd want to mention, I've got a few minutes left, I want to mention very quickly that we have a release coming out in June. In that release, we typically have updates once a quarter on Opening Studio, which adds new content. Within that release, we have a student version of Opening Studio coming out that will allow students within universities to create, modify, and export door openings for use in the classroom. That'll also include hardware cut sheets, hardware pricing, and things like that, so that they can use that. It'll be a standalone version where this Opening Studio is web-based. It's going to be an offline version that they can use without access to the internet to create thousands of door families, have access to already pre-built hardware sets that they could actually use in the classroom. And we're really excited about that. It's a big step for us, and we have several universities who are already using Opening Studio in the classroom. But this is going to give us so much more flexibility to not overload our servers and to get it out to more university to more university students all over the country.
Okay, well, thank
Michelle,
you so much.
I've gone through a lot of stuff pretty quickly,
yes.
And I've kind of hit the wall at the end here, and I know probably there's some questions, so I'll be happy to answer any questions that they may have on the software or software development or really anything.
Sure. Definitely want to thank you for this. I think it's very informative, very powerful tool. I know of some campuses that use your product and speak very highly of it. Currently, there are not any questions in the queue, so I do encourage any participants out there. We have a full house. I mean, they're still active, so if anyone has any questions, please do feel free to submit them. And meanwhile, while we have some extra time, do you have any, future plans for solution deployment that you wish to share with the audience?
For solution deployment,
any functionality coming down the pipe?
Well, we're going to have 3D hardware models in Revit coming soon. With Revit 2016, Autodesk added hardware models. Added hardware models and also added families that include hardware models. That is something that we've been working on for a while. We realize that there's a select few architects and owners that actually want that capability. So we kind of tabled it for a few years, but we have the ability, because we have all of this data, we have the ability to actually put out hardware set families instead of hardware items, and they could actually hot swap sets on doors within Revit, which is pretty exciting because you could, when you change a hardware set number with a drop down, it would actually change the hardware on the doors. So that you would see different hardware automatically, and it would all be in the correct place. Opening Studio, from the nature, all of the hardware where it's placed on a door is generated by calculations, and those same calculations can be applied in Revit for us. which allows them, the architects and end users, not to have to put their own hardware on doors. So it would automatically show up in the correct places and things like that. Although we did, to be fair, we just had a huge release in April. It was our 2.0 version of Opening Studio. Again, I said we've been at this for about 6 years, but our release in April was a big deal. And I don't want to mess around in this library, but I could go into another library and show you kind of what we did. Everything was driven by the instance. So if you think about a door as an instance, everything was driven by that instance. So what you see down here, everything was driven by that. With 2.0, what we did is we started driving. We're already driving a hardware set as a type. So you have a set that's a type, and that type gets built and then applied to several doors, and it's always the same, if that makes sense. And so what we've done here is we've created door types and frame elevations to match the hardware. What that allows us to do, though, is to go in and so in our elevation, I talked about wizards. You can go into an elevation wizard, and let's say I want to build something really intricate. So I'm just going to build, I'm going to say I want a 3-sided frame with side lights. I'm going to go in and add a left side light, and I'm just going to draw that. So I want 3 lights on that side. I want a right side light with 3 lights, and I want to transom with 2 lights. I can go in here and make this, let's say, 14 inches, so it's a little bigger, 14 inches. And then if I wanted to, I could raise these side lights off the floor by adding it off the finished floor heights or above finished floor heights. In this case, I'm going to leave it just so that we can see what happens. I actually make this a single light transom. And just clicking that button is going to change this door frame. So you can see now it's got all of those things that I added. So this is really quick and easy way to detail some things. Once it's in here, we can edit that. I can add things to it. But quick and where before we would have to draw all those things, it's quick and dirty to build a door frame now. And you can do multiple doors in frames without it being a storefront tool. So there's a lot of functionality built in there. Our next step is going to be to do the same thing with doors. Today you have only a certain amount of doors to pick from. Our next step would be to make it so that you could really build any door you wanted to. If you wanted 3 of these lights down the center of the door, or you wanted 20 lights in a door, or whatever you want to do. So that's one of our next things. Let's see. How are universities considering these? For existing buildings, we can do a couple of different things. Some of the ones I've talked to have student interns that are using Revit to design buildings that are already existing on campus. And so that obviously could be imported into Opening Studio through the analyzation process. A little more down and dirty than that would be to create a spreadsheet template of the doors that are in the building, and then we could import that and then add data to that. In that case, we would not have the 3D geometry where I was showing you the 3D view, because that wouldn't come in from Revit, but we certainly could add PDF floor plans and sketches and things like that, or any other kind of collateral you want to add. So it would look more like this, where you brought it in from an Excel spreadsheet. Bring it in from Revit, obviously, would add the extra feature of being able to add the 3D building geometry. But if you're just looking to control the data, then certainly we could do that through the spreadsheet import. Jeremy wanted me to let everyone know. Jeremy wanted me to let everyone know that we'll have a booth at the CFTA event this year, and we'll hopefully be able to show a little more. And I'll have one of my colleagues there. Erin will be there, and she's actually more heavily involved in development than I am. I'm on the sales and marketing. I'm her boss, but I've kind of assigned her to that. And so if you've got real technical questions, Erin's probably the one that could answer all that stuff. Sorry, Michelle, I heard you saying something.
No, I just wanted to kind of agree to your participation here at the CFTA conference coming up, and that I think that you guys, you're almost offering the solution that we all wish we had today, but we're trying to get there. So being able to see how easy it is going to, challenge us as, the campus leaders to do what we need to do to make sure that the technology is being made available to those that can use it to really work more efficiently. And that's what your system is one to promote efficiency.
Sure.
I do encourage folks who are attending the CFTA conference to reach out to Jeremy. I know he'll be there with Aaron, I believe, and take the time to learn more about the solution. So, I just really want to thank you. Mm-hmm.
Good. I'll point out that as much software as it's not finished, right? We still have a lot of plans of more integration. We want to work with all softwares. And so our plan is, as we continue the development, to get more and more feedback from our end users or our owners who would like to use the software on what else they would like to see. This is a great example where I've added Note 1, Note 2, Note 3, and I've added access control, egress, and operator. My plan is that there'll actually be columns that say access control, egress, and auto operator, because that's something that one of our owner users has told us that's very handy for them to know if it's fire rated access control, whether it has an auto operator or not, and whether it's egress, because those all require different technicians or require yearly inspections, and to be able to filter those doors is critical for them. So as we go forward and you hear more about Opening Studio, and we talk to each of your campuses, we're going to be asking, what else can we do? What else can we do to make this a more viable solution, specifically to your campus? And if it makes sense to the whole, obviously we're going to jump right on it, because we want this to be a viable solution for everyone. That's the only thing out there today that does anything like this. There's no other software, and I can say this with all honesty, our competition has nothing on this. This is the only software out there that bridges the gap between design, construction, and facility management today. And we're going to continue to make it the best product we can make it. Jeremy talked at the beginning about how ASSA ABLOY is an innovative project, even beating out Apple in 2013. And this is a major innovation point for us. In addition to our current ongoing lean practice and modular construction that we're just getting started with over the last 2 years, building off-site, building things modularly and delivering them to site, so there's fewer errors and fewer issues and things like that. And the BIM portion of this drives all of that as well.
That's great, and fewer change order means more money for bigger and better projects. So that's what we all want. Well, we're ending a couple of minutes early, but I feel like you really jam-packed some solid information in there. So thank you, thank you both so much for your time today. Okay. Well, with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up today's webinar. I'd like to thank all the attendees who really stay with us today. We still have 14 out of the 16 with us, so thank you. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of the day. I'd like to remind you that the next CFTA hosted webinar is the final webinar in the 2016 Facilities Geotech Showcase Series. That will be with the University of Arizona's GIS manager, Grant McCormick, who will be presenting on their Enterprise GIS at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on June 7th. For more information on CFTA webinars, please visit the CFTA website at www.cfta.org.